Hey everybody, this is Soul with another video, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the Battle for Azeroth Alpha. A little earlier today, I was streaming, just kind of doing my thing. I was trying out the quests over in the Stormsong Valley as an Alliance character. Oh my god, I know it's hard to believe, but I was having a good time doing things here and there, going through the motions of the questing experience, which by the way is not finished, but for the most part it's been a pretty good experience. But I happened to come upon this certain quest here, so let me read off what is going on. So Brother Pike, he gives me a quest to do some stuff. He wants me to stand in a certain spot, but let me read what he says exactly here. He says, "The ritual is ready, but requires a conduit to stabilize. If you are willing, your Azerite infused armor will suffice." And I wanted to talk about that for a little bit today. This whole thing about the Azerite infused armor is extremely telling because this is something that this is text that we encounter during the questing experience. And at least as of right now, we have as yet to test any of this Azerite infused armor stuff. As a quick reminder, and the reason why you probably clicked on this video anyway, the whole thing with Azerite Armor is that it's supposed to synergize with our Hearts of Azeroth. It's a thing that we wear on our neck. It's going to replace our neck slot. We're going to power that thing up, and that is supposed to empower certain equipment in our chest, our helmet, as well as our shoulders too. Yes. So with that in mind, we as people jumping into the alpha, we had expected to jump into that sort of system at least at some point, but at least, well, so far we have not. So our initial impressions of the alpha from a leveling experience, from a gameplay experience, have been, well, for the most part, they've been a little bit lackluster in part of some people. They've been saying that, oh, the questing experience is boring, there isn't a whole lot going on, I don't feel like I'm earning anything while I'm leveling, and those are very legitimate critiques to have. The fact is that we aren't going to get any sort of thing like that while we're leveling, at least not that we know of so far. And we can go back to previous expansions such as even like Warlords of Draenor, where as you level up, you get small perks here and there. You're able to power up some of your normal baseline abilities kind of randomly. In Legion, as you were leveling up, at least very early on, you were powering up your artifact weapon. You were slowly gaining a number of traits here and there. You can kind of start branching off into a certain direction before things really start to expand as soon as you hit max level, or, well, at least these days, when you hit max level, you do one quest and ta-da, you get like Concordance 5 or something like that. So far in the Battle for Azeroth, not so much. It's just been level as high as you can, which right now is 116, and that's as high as it gets. And otherwise, you're just leveling through. Every time you level up, nothing really happens. So this quest at least tells me that during the leveling experience, whenever we are getting certain gear that's going into our head, our shoulder, or our chest slot, those are more than likely going to have Azerite properties on them. And that's going to definitely help spice up the game when it comes to the leveling experience, because now we're going to have to mix that in with everything else that, at least, like, let's say if you have a main and you have a number of legendaries, then maybe you'll be shuffling through, okay, should I replace my legendary with this Azerite thing because it has some decent traits on it? Or, you know what, I'll keep it because this Azerite gear is still total crap, and my legendary synergies and set bonuses and what have you, they're still awesome. We still don't know for sure if set bonuses from the previous expansion are going to be disabled. I'm going to presume that they're going to stick around at least until we get to max level, and then they'll either just be considered obsolete as they are, or they might disable them just like how they have with all the other previous sets. This isn't me lecturing anybody that has these sorts of opinions on stuff based on the alpha, but then this is just testament to the fact that, well, you know, we don't quite know everything that's going in yet. Now, I think that's kind of a critique on Blizzard, where they're not exactly telling us what we should be expecting when we jump in. They're not outright telling us, hey, you know what, Azerite Armor is not available yet, it's not ready for testing, but so you folks know at home, you can expect that it's going to be part of the leveling experience. But maybe they just haven't fully decided it yet. Although this particular quest text at least tells me, yeah, you're going to be getting Azerite-based gear while you're leveling. So while it might not be interesting for our mains who already have like nice fancy gears, tons of legendaries and set bonuses and what have you, it will be interesting for people that are leveling alts and who are just kind of jumping into things and expecting something interesting to happen while they're leveling up. Speaking of the leveling experience, just my prediction as to how it's going to operate is that during the leveling experience, we're going to be getting this sort of gear. We're going to be equipping it and swapping it in and out for more interesting things, while at the same time, the levels themselves are for the most part going to gate the war campaign, whatever that's going to be called, where we'll be fighting the opposite faction in whatever activity that we'll be doing. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this because, to be honest, I'm excited about this. I'm very excited that we're going to get some interesting drops during the leveling experience, regardless of whether or not we have nice and fancy gear or not. And again, it's important to keep this thought in your pocket that the things that we've seen so far regarding Azerite traits and those sorts of values, all that stuff right now is data mined. It's not even testable yet, and it's really hard for me, at least, to come to a big conclusion based on that. It's just not testable yet. This right here is something that I'm at least seeing in game, which of course, it's just text. This might change, I might be totally wrong, and the leveling experience might be just as lackluster as some are saying. But based on what you're seeing, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you want to incorporate some of what we've learned in this data mined information, like some of the different traits that we've seen, feel free to share your thoughts based on that too. That's still worthwhile feedback to at least talk about, but not so much to really come to a conclusion or just be like, I'm going to unsub, screw Blizzard, So in conclusion, this slight revelation about what's going on with Azerite gear is something that seems pretty important for the overall experience. Again, feel free to share your thoughts, like and sub to support the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.